Good evening, viewers, and welcome to the SCADeP Hour, which is coming to you from the Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry, and Food Security. Well, as you all know, the SCADeP means the Smallholder Commercialization and Agribusiness Development Project, one of the babies within the Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry, and Food Security that seeks to bring about productivity along 4 value chains, that is rice, cocoa, oil palm, and poultry, and also has a component of feeder roads. As you all know, we've been coming to you through this medium to inform and educate you about what we do as a project in playing our own part in making agriculture productive in Sierra Leone. Well, today we have another interesting topic that we may want to deal with, and that is cash transfer and agribusiness development. Some people see it as a myth, some people see it as a reality. And we want to see how we can look at cash transfer to farmers and see what role it can play in promoting, especially the smallholder farmers in the country. So with me today is the Honorable Minister of Agriculture, Professor Patrick Monti Jones, who will be giving us some highlights on cash transfer, which is something that resonates with what he believes in as far as developing farmers in Sierra Leone. Welcome to SCADeP Hour, sir.
Thank you, and thanks for having me this evening.
Okay. Well, this is the second time you are featuring in this program. The first time I remembered when you just became Minister of Agriculture on the 19th of January, 2016. And from 2016 to now, a lot has happened during your tenure as Minister of Agriculture. And one of it is the coming of the SCADeP project, which is one of your babies within the ministry. And it resonates with a model that you have been trying to experiment in the country, and that is cash transfer, because many people believe that because our poor farmers are starved of cash, they are not able to undertake agriculture productively. And based on your experience, you have worked in many places in Africa and the world, and you have your reason for believing in that. So, in the first place, for those who might be hearing about cash transfer for the first time, they may want to know what is this cash transfer that the minister has been talking about and experimenting, and where is that idea from?
Well, again, thanks for having me this evening. I would like to inform the people of Sierra Leone that we call it the direct cash transfers to farmers. It's direct cash transfers to farmers. And basically it means that we make funds available to the farmers for them to undertake their work. You see, the idea of this direct cash transfer to farmers came to me when I was in my former hat working for the Forum for Agricultural Research and Development in Africa. I was the executive director. In fact, I started that forum for Africa and headed it for about 13 years before I came to Sierra Leone and worked for His Excellency, the President, directly as his special advisor and ambassador at large. And then, like you rightly mentioned, on the 19th of January, he brought me over as the Minister of Agriculture, Forestry, and Food Security. I have seen cash transfer operate in various African countries, but it started way back from the days when Lula was president of Brazil. He started it about 27, 30 years ago, you know, and he said, well, how do we develop the farmers? And he gave a period of 2 years and made funds available to the farmers, direct funds available to the farmers on a monthly basis. And these are peasant farmers like our own farmers today. and he gave them anything between $25 to $50 a month for the 2 years. And at the end of the 2 years, the farmers are supposed to fend for themselves. It was a highly successful project because Brazil, which was like us today, became one of the countries that was expanding in terms of its economic development, you know, and became one of the key countries from the developing world that was transforming to become a developed country because of its agricultural development and because of this program. And since then, various versions of this approach have gone to different countries, to Ethiopia, to Rwanda, to Malawi. Malawi used the, they used the voucher scheme where they were giving vouchers to farmers, and the farmers can use those vouchers to access funds or to access inputs and things like that. And all those countries, Ghana, all those countries that participated in this program today are right on top in their agricultural development. They are the leading countries in their agricultural development. So when I came to Sierra Leone, and haven't seen this worked in Rwanda and other places, I decided that I should bring our own version. We may not have the funds that some of these countries have got. And so we came up with our own approach, which was really quite simple approach. We give direct cash transfers to the farmers. Something in the region of $2,000 to $3,000 US is given not to an individual farmer, but to farmers groups, and so cooperatives and FBOs, farmer-based organizations. They can access this one, but only after they've produced an application for it, and only after that application should indicate what they want to do with the money, what activities they want to undertake, and they are expected to commit themselves, you know, to producing technical report and financial report with all the receipts of how they spent the money that is given to them. This approach was passed on to Cabinet. It was endorsed by Cabinet, and it's only after that that we started to give these direct cash transfers to farmers.
You know, it sounds very brilliant. It sounds very brilliant, but there are people who will say, well, maybe those countries are different from Sierra Leone, and maybe the way those people will apply themselves to the model of utilizing the resources properly based on experiences in Sierra Leone, they will say, don't give them the money, give them seeds, give them fertilizers, give them training on good agronomic practices, etc., etc. What can you say about that?
We do all those things that you've just mentioned. We give seeds, we give fertilizers, we give machinery, we train the FBOs. That's why we are dealing with FBOs and the cooperatives, and we train the farmers as well. But something is always lacking. It's a question of, well, I have all those things. I've been able to plow my field. Instead of 1 hectare, I got 2 hectares. And you gave me seed. The seed was supposed to cover 1 acre or 1 hectare. And I have 2 acres. I don't have money to purchase the seeds for the 2 hectare, but I have seeds for 1 hectare of land. I don't have funds to bring in what I would say the labor that will do my weeding. I've increased my area that I want to work on. I don't have funds to bring in, again, labor to help in harvesting, to help in threshing, all of those things. What was lacking with all these external input distribution that we give to the farmers was the fact that we've not made funds available to the farmers for them to do these extra things, you know, and so in one of my first trips after I took up this office to around the farmers in the country, I went around from district to district, chiefdom to chiefdom, you know, talk to the farmers. This was what was absent in the system for the past 50 years. And we decided that, yes, we should start up this program for Sierra Leone. That was how we started the program for Sierra Leone. And I think that we probably underestimate our farmers. Our farmers are very good people. Our farmers are dedicated people. Our farmers have shown over the years that they are very serious with farming. So even when it's subsistent farming, they carry over the technology from their great-great-grandfather to the farmers today. And our farmers are dedicated people. So to say that you give the farmers the money, no, they will not use it, they will eat it because of experience, some bitter experience that we've got in the past. We've not seen that happen in Sierra Leone. We started it in 2016. 2016 audit shows that we had complete, total recovery from the farmers. We got all the receipts and everything, and they were reviewed by the auditors. And we getting the same thing for 2017 because we have our district offices. The 13 agricultural districts, the SBUs are attached to those, to their blocks, but at the same time to the district offices. So they are supervising this program, you know, on the ground. And with that kind of supervision and the constant contact with the farmers, we were able to realize 100% recovery each time. So I would say that it's been a highly successful program, and I look at it as being even more successful than what we get in other countries like Rwanda. And, well, Rwanda is doing very well. I would say Malawi. Malawi started it after a few...
So let me take the cue from there.
After a few months, they stopped.
Let me take the cue from there. You seem so confident about the outcome of such interventions. Can you give viewers 2 examples of people in Sierra Leone, of farmers that you experimented this with and what it is like now for them?
For me, we've gone past the experimental stage.
Okay.
It is something that we have adopted and we're going ahead with it.
So which
Let
means
me
we
take
can
2.
have people to showcase now.
That's right. We have people
So
to
let's
showcase.
have 2.
And we have evidence of the improvement that we have made.
Okay.
Let me give you an example of what happened in Mabas. Okay. Mabas is in the Tonkolili district, you know, and the farmers got the cash transfers from us. They came together as a group, of course, and then they plowed in 2000. I'm not going to go to 2016. Let me say in 2017, they plowed 2,050 hectares, close to 6,000 acres of land. They planted it with rice all over. You will go for miles and you just see rice on both arms, left and right, you know, and very good field, very good yields, because they receive the inputs that you mentioned earlier on, the seeds, the fertilizers, and we gave them machinery.
Okay.
This time we got the machinery from the Chinese. We loaned 3 machineries which they used to plow that size of land, you know, and they got very good yields. The only small problem they had was that they did not think of the gravity of the problem when it comes to harvesting. But we helped. We sent our experts, and we get some small combined harvesters. They were able to harvest everything, and they got bumper harvests. And I will tell you, we looked at the yield figure that we got in 2016, 2017. We were able to increase production by 110,000 metric tons of rice in this country. The first time that we are ever doing that. And that improvement over the average that we normally got, you know, is due to the fact that overall in the country, we saw bumper harvests. And there was an increase in yield, accurate figure, from 0.87 metric tons per hectare to something just under 2 tons per hectare. Okay. So there was over 100% increase in yield for that period, 2016, 2017 cropping seasons, because we got the farmers to do double cropping as well.
Okay.
And that translated to this figure increase that I've just given to you, 110,000 metric tons, which is how we closed the deficit of the, where we closed the gap, you know, to attaining self-sufficiency. And self-sufficiency status right now is something like 95%. We only have 5%, about 40,000 hectares. So if we are able to produce 140,000 metric ton, 150,000 metric ton, Sierra Leone will be self-sufficient in 2017, 2018.
Self-sufficient of rice produced locally?
Rice produced locally. I'm not talking of imported rice or things like that. And that is one example that I've given to you.
Okay.
Another example that I will give to you, I will just tell you, because the youths have gone into farming. Male youth, female youths, they've all gone into, most of them have gone into farming. We've increased the number of employment to the youths because of this incentive. Don't forget that the cash transfer, direct cash transfer, is an incentive.
Yes.
It's attracting people to get back to farming. And I see two areas. First of all, the farmers or the youths, everybody is happy with it because it makes the ready cash available. And people are just happy with it because they feel that, or they know that they're going to realize benefits out of it, the increased production, which will improve their livelihoods. I will just give you a quote from two people to show the importance of this, because we are not only creating physical impact in terms of increase in yield, but we are developing social impact, better livelihood of our people. A lady farmer in Kenema told me that, or told us when we went out, in the presence of everybody, including the resident minister of the East, she told us that they've been reduced domestic violence because they're able to realize increase in their production, and now they support the family. Pay for their children's school fee, bring food to the home, etc., etc. A teenage farmer, a youth farmer that have just gone into farming, in less than 2 years, she told the group when we visited that now there is less harassment on them, the teenage youth ladies,
okay,
because they are determined to work in the field and they are now making money. So it has cut down on the youths getting to do extracurricular activities. Being idle and things like that. Okay. So now they are engaged and they are happy about that. I've just given you two examples of a physical impact of this approach and the social impact of this approach. So on the whole, it is resulting to development of our country. On the whole, it is bringing good morale and good behavior and whatnot amongst our people. Because if you, the man, say, I'm not going to hit my wife anymore because she's bringing goods, and you, the youth, say, I'm not going to be going to the nightclub every night because I have work to do, you can see the impact that this is creating in the society of our people.
Okay, I almost jumped for excitement when you talked about the increase in yield based on this cash transfer, direct cash transfer to farmers. And you also spoke about food self-sufficiency, if there is consistency in this program. Well, people listening will say, well, where is that rice? We are not seeing it in the market.
Okay.
Stalls.
We have a problem that we are now trying to solve.
Okay.
In Sierra Leone. There is rice in this country. That is why our rice is filtering through the borders to neighboring countries.
Exactly.
We've traced our rice right through to Banjul.
Okay.
In the Gambia. We've traced our rice right through to Bamako,
Mali.
In Mali, and other places, not to mention neighboring countries for which we share border with, like Guinea, Liberia. Our rice is going out. We are importing maybe 250,000 metric tons. Maybe as much as that rice, locally produced rice, is crossing, and more, is crossing the border to go to neighboring countries. This is why I say Sierra Leone can be self-sufficient in one season if we are able to mobilize our own rice and keep them within the country. Our problem that we have is mopping up, getting up our own rice and taking them from the point of production to the point of consumption.
Okay.
More rice is consumed in cities than in the villages and towns. And so basically what we've done to try to solve that problem, there are three things that we should do. In the first place, we should find a way to make sure that we have farms like the Lion Mountain in Bo, or the Mountain Lion in McKinney, or the Golden Mills just on the way to McKinney. These are people that are buying rice in husk, and they are milling them and sending them to the markets.
Here, locally?
We need to encourage them to make sure that they sell the rice to places like Freetown, Bo, McKinney, Cambia, those big cities, so that our domestic produce should be felt in those areas. That is one approach. We started a new approach recently just to make sure that domestic rice gets to the market, where when we were able to, the farmers in Koinadugu districts, around Kabala also, we are able to produce huge quantities of Irish potato. And we named it Koina potato because the Koina potato is even better than the one that is bigger and better than the one that is coming from Ireland or from Europe. So much so that some European countries have approached us to say they would like to see our export of this Koina potato. But it started a new approach, and I would like to commend my staff, Mrs. Toure, that started this. But we call it just in time for agri-business market. Basically, it involves you displaying your produce just before you harvest or after harvesting, and get the district agric office or the agric officers at your location to make sure that it gets to the social media, make sure that it gets to the radio or TV. And then we realized that the business partners were requesting how much will it cost for a kg, for a 50 kg bag, and et cetera, et cetera. And people were even sending money to purchase and bringing transport to collect. So we have even used this to appeal to our private sector, and I'm going to make the appeal again to our private sector, that if they could take this as a business, take their cold storage trucks to this point of production and get the goods to our market, because that has been our problem, mopping up and taking to the markets, to the appropriate markets. Then they also can make a lot of money. We started another program that we call Agriculture Farmers Markets. Again, is to force the farmers to add value. These packets that you are seeing here, Beniseed, rice, cashew, all of these, Gari, this is Gari, all of this, yeah, that's right. And these are all packaged here, and in recent months, we've done all of this, and it's increasing. The value addition is increasing amongst our farmers and our business people, I would say the SMEs, the small, medium entrepreneurs. They are getting these things packaged and selling them. And twice a month in Freetown, and it has started elsewhere in the country, we have this agri-market where these things are displayed for purchase. And at the same time, what we are saying is that we're getting requests from hotels, from restaurants, from the market people themselves, and this is our local produce that are now beginning to get out of the shelves and getting on to our own domestic market. Yes, we've just started. Yes, it will take time for us, for Sierra Leoneans to realize that this is happening, but it is happening, and yes, people are aware of it.
Well, I would have wanted to come to that question of why we are not making this public. Why are we not?
Oh, if you go to the social media, it's there.
Okay.
And we've just decided that we should be announcing this whenever, and I think they're announcing it whenever they want to have the agri-market, it is announced. And somehow we have to get this in the social media.
Definitely. So let me bring the SCADeP project, which is your baby, and which also resonates with some of these brilliant outcomes that you are talking about. It's like a dream come true now that you have a project funded by the World Bank and the FEED that focuses on this value addition and through various funding schemes like the Agribusiness Services Matching Grants, the Sierra Leone Agricultural Development Fund, which targets the big agribusinesses, and the Agricultural Loan Scheme. How will you relate this cash transfer to what this project intends to achieve in terms of its project development objective, and what do you think it will bring?
I believe in this SCADeP. I signed that document together with the Minister of Finance and your Paminda Bra,
yes,
your
World Bank country
manager, a person that I've got quite a lot of respect for, because it's not just a manager that sits in the office. Like me, it's a manager or an official that also goes to the field to see what is happening. Several times I've crossed with him, going or coming, and at one time we even stopped and shook hands. He was coming to Freetown, I was going to where he was coming from, and that was Tomabum. This is one of the best projects that we've ever had. It started from the smallholder commercialization program, and it transformed into the one that I brought in, which is the smallholder commercialization and agribusiness development project. You know, it's a very good project. First of all, it meets the vision of our country, the goals and objectives of our country, that we should increase production and productivity, and that we should improve the livelihoods of the farmers, the farming community. And the reason why you're talking of all of these matching grants and sub-grants and making funds available to big agribusiness ventures in the country, you will see the similarity of what we are doing at a much lower level with what the SCADeP project is doing at a higher level. I say at a higher level.
That's why I wanted to ask the question, what opportunity does this project present for the fact that maybe it can just, it just resonates with what you've been doing, and now it's at a higher level, with much more funding. How do you think this, your idea of direct cash transfer, which also kind of relates to what SCADeP does in the form of the grants?
I see big similarities there. One approach, my approach is looking at smallholder mainly, although sometimes we give to the big commercial growers as well. Your approach is looking at the business ventures, you know, so that they can access badly needed resources. So you could see the similarities between the two. And the opportunity of this is that we're making the badly needed resources, funding, available to our people to improve on the quality of what they are doing, to expand on the type of work that they are undertaking, whether it's cocoa planting or cashew planting, or whether it's value addition to produce juice and things like that. You could see that development is taking place in the agricultural sector. And I am really very happy. His Excellency, the President, Dr. Ernest Baikoroma, is very happy. Our new flag bearer, because I am from the government party and my party is the APC party, our new flag bearer, Dr. Samura Kamara, and our running mates, you know, Shenoba, you know, Honorable Shenoba, they are all very happy about it. Recently, the flag bearer spoke about it in one of his interviews, that we are moving in the right direction. And I tell you, we are moving in the right direction. In a not too distant future, I hope, people will begin to see the impact of the cash transfer of the of what you are doing, giving sub-grants and all of those things to big agricultural ventures. People will begin to see the impact. Some people have started saying it, but we want to magnify it in such a way that it will be the talk of the country all the time. You see, the way we are going, the way we've handled the cash transfer, the way SCADeP is going, and for which I commend all of you in the SCADeP program, including the project coordinator, Dr. Suleiman Sise. I commend all of you for doing this and then bringing into reality what we have dreamt for a very long time.
One of these days, I was listening to the radio, and somebody was saying, well, the Ministry of Agriculture says they are producing rice, but rice has gone to 250,000.
Okay. Our flag bearer is development oriented and is a highly focused person and a person with the knowledge to lead this country. And I will say this to all Sierra Leoneans, that he is the man of the day. He is the person that would take over from a president that has done wonders for this country to take us to where we are.
Has laid the foundation.
And he's laid a big foundation that we must carry on with. You know, that is very important. You know, and this is why we should bring in somebody like Dr. Samura Kamara as our president and Sharon Oba as our vice president. The two people are just wonderful for our country. And I would like to say that if we continue the way that we are continuing, and if we get the right people in place, this country will be a model for other countries in the region to emulate. And the country will do that through agricultural development.
So let's say, assuming this model succeeds, the SCADeP model, and like you're talking about continuity, and we are also in a transition, do you think well, I don't know whether you will still be the Minister of Agriculture, but should there be another minister here as Minister of Agriculture, do you think by virtue of the successes of the SCADeP project, of the cash transfer, it is a model that we should continue? Because sustainability is also something that often impedes development in our country.
You're right. Sustainability is very important. Continuity is very important. Continuity in the sense that continue to build on that foundation that have been laid is very important. This is why I would like to see my party, my government, the government of
Dr. Samura
Kamara continue from Dr. Ernest Bai Koroma, because we will just magnify on what is happening today and we'll just run with it. But if you change completely, then somebody else will come and then will want to take 2 years, 3 years, and may even say, no, from looking at history of Sierra Leone, let's scrap this thing, good or no good.
And start all over again.
And start all over again. Yeah. And that will bring the country backwards. These developed countries like the US, Europe, and China, Japan, etc., there's always continuity on the grounds that even if somebody new is coming, the person will know that this is a valuable program and want to continue with it. But it will not be as rich and we will not move as fast if the same party, the same government continue to do that. Okay. And this is why I am advocating that, and I know that the APC government will come back to power and will continue to run. Jones or no Jones at this place, whatever minister come from within my party, I believe will continue this approach.
Mr. Minister, there is another good thing that has been happening, and that also begs the question why maybe the ministry should do more in terms of selling what it is doing. And that is the rehabilitation and maintenance of feeder roads all over the country. For instance, the SCADeP project is almost on the verge of completing over 52 kilometers of feeder roads in 9 districts. I have been to some of those places, and I know how far removed those places. In fact, in some places, there are forests, but now you see fine feeder roads cutting through, bridges are being built, you know. So what can you say about that? And also recently, the SCADeP project handed some vehicles to you, which also grants accessibility of the various MDAs that works within the sector to move to various parts of the country. What would you say about that?
The vehicles came in handy. And the vehicle is being given not just to the Ministry of Agriculture, but all associated institutions that are involved in agricultural development in our country. And yes, they create accessibility. But let me link the feeder road to what I said earlier on about our rice, which is our staple food, and other commodities being available in the country. Our problem is mopping up and taking to the market. the feeder road helped to facilitate that. And gaining access to those areas where we have abundance of rice, which the farmers themselves will keep in their stores because they cannot take it to the market. This time, it can go to the market. So you see, we're using various approaches to make sure that, you know, eventually our domestic produce are available all over the country and available in the cities, in the towns, etc. Yes, if we talk about the increase in the prices of commodities, which you mentioned earlier on, I would like you to look at the dollar value of these commodities. Okay. At that time, the exchange rate was different from this time. And at the end of the day, actually, we're making gain on what the price was that time, whatever time that we are looking at. You know, so it goes with the exchange rate. It goes with the inflation. And our president has done well, very well for the people. When he realizes that the prices are going up, we almost double the salaries of the people of Sierra Leone. The least paid, the
minimum wage now is 500,000.
It's 500,000. Yes. So the president, who is somebody with passion for the people, and he wants to bring relief to the people, knew what to do. That was why he doubled the salaries. The minimum wage was doubled, and others, you know, got increases as well. That will enable them to afford a bag of rice, which is going for about 200,000, you know, leones. So, on the whole, we haven't done badly at all. In fact, we are gaining, like I mentioned earlier on, in terms of the value, the dollar value of a bag of rice. You know, you go and calculate it, and you see that what I'm saying is quite correct. Having said that, we in the Ministry of Agriculture, we're trying our best. We've augmented what I would say is our drive to want Sierra Leoneans to know what we are doing. And this is why whenever we go on these missions, it's published in the social media. And this is why yesterday there is the program on the road to food security, in which my PRO, Abu Darami, was in the radio telling people, and you could see he was displaying these products, you know, and even what people will make from jute, from fibers that you get from jute trees and things like that. You know, bags and clothes and things like that from cotton. You know, we were displaying all of those things yesterday. And I think that this is for Sierra Leoneans to see that things are happening. Big things are happening. And that sometimes we play blind eyes to them. But things are happening. And I would say that today I got word that a farmer who has been involved in this program suddenly decided that, I must go with what the government is doing. I must go with what the Ministry of Agriculture is doing. So I'm leaving wherever I was and joining the ministry and the government, you know, and the party. You know, so these kind of things are happening because Sierra Leoneans that are out there are seeing the value of what we are doing. Those that want to see, you wouldn't get everybody to see, but those that want to see and those that are too patriotic citizens of this country, they are seeing the value and the development that is taking place. Yes, we haven't got there fully, but we are marching along. So and we are marching positively.
A quick one. The SCADeP project will also be rehabilitating about 500 kilometers of feeder roads more.
500,
What
yes.
promise does that hold?
Oh, more access of our commodities to market, more access of our SMEs to go to the point of production to get the goods and then to take them to the market, and general development and more cash into the pockets of our farmers, which will bring development of our country.
Another quick one.
And this will translate to increase, I would say, the GDP of our country.
Yes, we are.
The contribution of agriculture to
maybe
the GDP.
That will be my last question, but let me ask you quick. Can you just highlight some of your achievements?
Well,
since
I believe we've achieved quite a lot. It will be very difficult to pinpoint all the things that we have achieved. But first of all, I would like to say that the most important achievement is the confidence of my farmers. If you meet my farmers today, anywhere in this country, any corner of this country, they will tell you that I have been to them maybe 5 times, maybe 6 times, and we have sat, we have talked, we've educated each other on how to move forward with agricultural development. They will tell you one thing, a slogan that we use now. It's all over the country. If you want to be rich, go to the farm.
Okay.
Go to the ground. If you want for buy motor car, go to the ground. If you want for pay school fee, go to the ground. This is a clear indication of now the thinking of the farmers that agriculture is there to produce, to improve their livelihood, and to bring development to the country. They are very much aware of that. That is a major thing that we have got. And the need for them to do double cropping, if they have to do double cropping, or plant in rotation, rice and green legume, all this education has been passed on to them. It's a major achievement for me, you know, getting the confidence of the farmers. And then the second thing is we're beginning to see increase in the commodities. By unit area, we're beginning to see increase in production, increase in productivity, which was the goal of the president when he came up with the presidential recovery priorities. The recovery priorities. So we have achieved that. We're beginning to see increase in the recruitment of the youths into farming. They're getting back into farming. In fact, the recovery priority said 10,000. We did 22,000 people in 1 year, you know, that went back into farming. So all of these are taking place. Why shouldn't I be happy? Why shouldn't I be proud of my farmers? Why shouldn't I say that the farmers are doing wonderful for this country? Because we got the political will to support, we got His Excellency the President to say yes to farming and to support the farming. The President went around to give his thank you speech. The farmers were there, always with their banners, saying thank you to the President for the support that you gave to agriculture. Dr. Samura Kamara, Honorable Chenoba, they've assured us that this will continue. And I believe and pray that these people will
You forgot about one principal crop that you have helped to promote. I've heard about
Koina
it.
potato.
Not only the Koina potato, the onions. The onions project.
Well, I didn't forget. I just did not want to mention everything. I concentrated on rice, which is our staple food.
Yeah, okay.
But onion production has gone up. In fact, we have more than double production. So much so that I am confident that probably in this 2018, and latest by 2019, we'll be self-sufficient in onion production. We will be self-sufficient in chicken production as well. Chicken production have gone up considerably. And we are now trying to see how we can add value to meat, cattle, so that we can produce, and to chicken, and to pork, and all of those things, so that we begin to produce our own hot dog, our own salami, our own distance. We have, you name it. All of those beef, whatnot product, you know, will be produced in Sierra Leone in the not too distant future.
So my last question.
And apart from that, the dairy products, we look forward to producing our own milk, our own cheese, butter, and yogurt. You know, so these are happening. We've signed the contract with some Italian firm that will come to do that for Sierra Leone.
Okay.
Yes.
So my last question would be, where do you think agriculture will take us in the next 10 years?
Agriculture will take us to attaining food self-sufficiency, food security, and nutrition security in Sierra Leone. Agriculture will remain the most dynamic economic sector of the country, and we will see the GDP, the contribution of agriculture to the GDP move from 50% to excess of 60%. It will become the main backbone of economic growth of our country. And I believe that Dr. Ernest Baikoroma, I know, has given the support to agriculture. Samura Kamara and Shenuba will give the support to agriculture for agriculture to enable us to achieve all of these things that we've mentioned. He's given 10 points for agriculture, and all of them spells out our vision that we should have big agricultural development programs. We should move away from self-sufficient, from subsistence farming to big commercial farming. We should mechanize our agriculture. We should increase production and productivity. This is the dream of Dr. Samura Kamara and Chenoba, and I am fully behind them.
Thank you, Mr. Minister.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks very much. It's really nice talking to you.
Yeah. So this is how we come to the end of this segment of SCADeP Hour. We've been talking to the Minister of Agriculture, Forestry and Food Security, Professor Patrick Monti Jones. Stay focused as we bring you more information on the strides being taken to make Sierra Leone's food self-sufficiency